Let us execute an immediate, sweeping, analytical vector shift away from the hyper-fortified, calculation-heavy tracking matrices of global deep-state espionage, military counter-terrorism operations, and off-the-books intelligence operatives, and descend directly into the eerie, calculation-heavy tracking grids of psychological survival, weaponized supernatural art, and the deeply protective world of an isolated amputee shielding his sanity from cosmic oceanic forces. We are crossing the threshold directly into the hyper-monitored local sectors of a remote, unincorporated Florida key, the exclusive procedural grid of a haunted creative awakening, and the lethal analytical parameters of an intense memory-based survival matrix with DUMA KEY, the exceptional pulse-pounding masterpiece engineered by the absolute undisputed sovereign of psychological horror, supernatural structural mechanics, and cosmic dread, Stephen King. This introductory tracking sequence delivers an exceptional look at an operational crossroads, where a fierce, underestimated artist protagonist asset running an unyielding field loop, a deeply corrupted ancient marine intelligence, and an absolute defense of a fractured soul's final personal sovereignty metrics collide at terminal velocity. Let us map the strategic narrative grid. If you are an elite enthusiast of high-octane, slow-burn supernatural thrillers where an endangered, hyper-observant male protagonist must navigate an absolute maze of phantom limb sensations, forgotten historical tragedies, and a deadly ring of active metaphysical gaslighting while running a blind survival loop inside a completely compromised coastal ecosystem where an analytical mind uses deep psychological profiling, calculated brushstroke boundaries, and absolute mental stamina to outmaneuver an invisible predatory entity network, and where the author utilizes an incandescent, mutilated construction mogul retires to a deserted island to paint, only for his art to unleash a terrifying ancient evil diagnostic routine to test our hero's structural limits, this book is engineered to lock you in. King completely dominates the high-precision artistic obsession meets Lovecraftian horror dynamic, capturing the heart-racing intellectual momentum, suffocating regional paranoia, and heavy deductive depth popularized by genre vargs like Peter Straub, Joe Hill, Dean Koontz, and Dan Simmons, while treating realistic trauma rehabilitation logistics, complex family alignment arcs, and protective high-density supernatural extraction grids with absolute technical mastery. The narrative tracking grid zeroes in on the highly volatile, calculation-heavy baseline of our central elite survivor asset, Edgar Fremantle, operating under a severe, calculation-heavy handicap of a missing right arm, profound cognitive memory damage, and a hyper-visible targeting profile by the island's ruling supernatural spirits. Behind Edgar's rigorous canvas footprints and tense diagnostic ledger logs lies an intricate matrix of hidden faction allegiances, deeply buried regional secrets, and sharp, high-stakes tactical maneuvers. Edgar's collective defense mechanisms are locked down tight behind a lifetime of managing multi-million-dollar construction corporations, his entire analytical focus strictly consumed by monitoring sudden threat vectors from phantom neurological fields, parsing complex behavioral shifts from his powerful old-money local allies, and shielding his vulnerable sanctuary nodes from being entirely wiped out by a ruthless elite cleanup offensive. The spark ignites when an unexpected high-frequency structural anomaly breaches his active scanning perimeter. His brilliant, frantic paintings begin to possess precognitive execution parameters, manifesting real-world physical changes that instantly cross-reference with high-level calculated malice designed to guarantee an ancient entity's awakening. As the hostile entity's mobilization phases enter an increasingly lethal terminal tier across the shifting sands, a series of suspicious psychological sabotage attempts, targeted family intimidation setups, and calculation-heavy midnight ocean ambushes threaten to permanently eliminate Edgar from the active living civilian registry. The official diagnostic metrics of the global tracking centers flash white-hot when his defensive artistic maneuvers and raw psychic combat output reveal that his initial operational alignment is radically, impossibly altering the island's historical balance of power. The standard boundaries of routine psychological recovery and peaceful coastal compliance protocols crumble, and our central protagonist runs completely out of standard diplomatic escape vectors. He is thrust directly into an active, invisible war across the haunted keys, where deceptive historical estates, highly manipulative psychic forces, and a calculation-heavy supernatural syndicate launch aggressive countermeasures to permanently suppress his survival data stream. The tactical parameters instantly explode as their historical and survival war turns completely active, transforming the local beach house's dark mangrove sniper perimeters and private fortified estate safe houses into a volatile psychological pressure cooker and a physical battle zone. Our protective veteran protagonist is forced to deploy his massive intuitive tradecraft, elite mental environmental mapping skills, and raw emotional combat stamina to repair his perimeter and secure true institutional advancement before the next systemic metaphysical realignment permanently deletes his case. When deceptive psychological red herrings, corrupted historical ledgers, and calculation-heavy tactical ambushes launch aggressive plays to delete his path, his survival instincts engage their final deployment tracks.
Every midnight archival excavation, every silent choice to stand off against an ancient sea witch behind standard security barriers, and every intense moment of channeling raw, unyielding survival mechanics chips away at his reliance on original peaceful rules. What follows is an exceptional, high-stakes war of perspective, tactical position, and raw human grit. We watch the island elite's deceptive perimeters completely unwrapped as the author reveals that the true victory requires more than just surviving an initial breakdown or managing a broken marriage file. It demands an absolute, uncompromising defense of individual dignity, personal truth, and systemic survival against a cold, calculating machine of institutional hierarchy and cosmic supremacy. While our central characters smooth over each other's psychological and defensive blind spots with devastating analytical force, creating a fiercely protective, absolute web of dark possessive loyalty around their union, a brutal series of close-quarters tactical confrontations and high-stakes evidentiary breakthroughs shifts the clock into its terminal phase, proving that historical emotional hazards have tracked them to their final outpost. To survive the impending Lockrid trap and permanently secure his sanctuary, our resilient hero must unleash an absolute, unyielding defense of his final boundary lines. It is a supernatural mystery thriller, trauma survival suspense, coastal espionage drama, high-velocity psychological noir masterpiece that treats deep relational logistics and intense structural friction with elite precision. The tension here burns with a sharp, calculation-heavy intensity. We are talking about that high-frequency, one whispered brushstroke triggers a fatal Oceanic showdown energy, where a sudden pause during an active franchise tactical briefing, an unexpected shift in an adversary's protective physical posture during a high-stakes cross-examination confrontation, or a heavy, possessive realization that an elite intelligence operative has completely mapped your personal coordinates, carries massive structural weight. King writes with an exceptionally fresh, vivid, and beautifully blunt voice, perfectly capturing the heavy, oppressive atmosphere of a private executive vault before a major corporate takeover, and the distinct, subtle scent of polished mahogany, expensive oil paints, salt spray, decaying shells, sunset rum, spilled copper, and pure, unadulterated suspense. What truly elevates this psychological horror novel into elite territory is the author's unmatched ability to balance complex, high-stakes community dynamics and genuine protective power tradecraft alongside a breathtaking narrative pace and deep emotional hooks. Our protagonists don't rely on unbelievable superficial Hollywood superhero action tropes. Their immense situational intelligence, strategic patience, and profound survival instincts match the complexity of the chaotic modern corporate and high society underworld they dominate step for step, making their choices to risk everything feel profoundly authentic and deeply gripping. The pacing moves with calculated momentum, tracking intense conversational standoffs and breathtaking tactical breakthroughs before ratcheting up to an absolute jaw-dropping conclusion that delivers total, hard-earned advancement to their horizon. DUMA KEY is the definitive pro-level upgrade your high-stakes supernatural fiction and intense asset suspense library demands right now. It is elegant, immensely fast-paced, and utterly unputdownable. It proves that when your entire sanctuary is targeted by a cold, calculating institutional monster, the most revolutionary play you can execute is to lock your perimeters, trust your elite survival training, and fight like hell alongside your network to rewrite the data. So secure your personal reading sanctuary, review your emotional defensive perimeters, open your Kindle, and prepare to track the